A mate of mine has had the comedy police after him. Australian comedian Isaac Butterfield summoned to court over offensive jokes. Now, this is obviously terrible. I think it's absolutely rotten. However, I said as much to Isaac himself. I love it when this stuff happens because it literally never works out in the government's favour, ever. Or the person that's making the accusation. It never works in their favour. All it does is it bolsters people more and more to rally behind free speech and comedy. And I did say that to him. I was like, look, Isaac, I'm sorry, but I'm glad this is happening to you. Australian comedian Isaac Butterfield announced he has been summoned to court over offensive jokes told during a performance in Perth, Western Australia in 2022. The Queensland Human Rights Commission, how funny, they're actually bringing him there to violate his human rights, requested Butterfield's presence after a single person made a complaint on the grounds of public vilification based on race, religion, sexual identity, sexuality, blah blah, buzzwords. In a video discussing the situation, Butterfield, who is not a Queensland resident, expressed his frustration and anger. I guess you could say my style of stand-up is one where I don't pull any punches, I don't censor myself, I really do believe that you can do any type of joke about any subject on stage as long as it's funny, he said in a video uploaded to his YouTube channel, and that's an absolutely correct statement, I would say. One person didn't like the joke, then on the 20th of April at 9:30, I had to be there to appear in a conciliation conference. That one person has enough power to compel a comedian who told a joke that they didn't like to go in front of a commission of people and work it out. They're jokes. This is mad. This is madness, he says. It absolutely is. However, it is the system working as intended. They know that comedians are quite damaging to authoritarian regimes, because comedians can make jokes about them and parody them, and it makes them seem less scary. It delegitimizes them and stuff like that. So that's why they want to come after comedians. They don't like it. Butterfield stresses that comedians often tell jokes that they don't necessarily believe or mean, but are intended to make people laugh regardless, he says. This often applies to him, especially in this case. A lot of people figured out that a lot of the stuff I say, I don't mean it. I don't mean it. Some of it I do, but most of it I don't. Like, you're just saying something outrageous and stupid to make the crowd laugh. It's comedy. Hey, that's how it works. With that said, he goes on to explain that the offending jokes were designed to be offensive. They were part of a bit where the comedian explains how to trigger cancel culture by building what he calls the cancel culture cake. The cancel culture cake is essentially the action of telling a series of progressively more offensive jokes. Butterfield demonstrated this during a routine where he made comments about Australia's Aboriginal population. In that section of jokes, in that bit, I went through the 5, in my opinion, most offensive jokes that I had written about Aboriginal people. Now, bear in mind, I write jokes about everyone. One of the jokes that preceded this was about white people in Bali dying in the Bali bombing. It is not just people with dark skin that I go after, it's everyone, Butterfield explains. I go after everyone as well. I've got a whole bit about the Greeks all being pederasts. And I've also got one about white women always fucking dogs. It's weird. Don't know why. It's a phenomenon. He added that nobody at the shows themselves had any problems with the jokes. However, the issues arose when he posted clips of his routine to TikTok and Instagram. In a matter of hours, he had reportedly received countless death threats and other physical violence. I get those all the time. That's just standard. I just ignore them and laugh at them. The offended party also viewed Butterfield's routine on social media. According to the complaint, the individual was traumatized and made to feel unsafe by the comedian's comments. That individual should just seal himself up in a room forever and literally never ever go outside. You saw a clip of a comedian on TikTok and you were traumatized. You need mental help. That's what you need. You don't need a human rights commission going after a comedian. You literally need help. You literally shouldn't go outside. You shouldn't read a newspaper. You shouldn't watch TV. You shouldn't do anything like that. You need your phone taken from you. You need to be committed in an institution. If you saw a clip of a comedian on stage and you were traumatized, you're literally not fit for life. Sorry. You should just seal yourself away in a room. Get social services to bring you meals 3 times a day. That's what you need. The complaint specifically draws attention to Butterfield's joke about the stolen generation, a period in Australian history where Indigenous children were taken from their homes and placed with white families. Obviously a rather fucked up thing. It also mentions Butterfield's comments that he thought he had never seen Aboriginal pornography until he realised it actually goes by the name National Geographic. That's funny. Come on. Butterfield acknowledged how serious events like the Stolen Generation were and are, but believes in the right of comedians to make jokes about any topic. Like, I make lots of jokes about the Holocaust and stuff like that. The Holocaust was terrible, right? There's no getting around that. But in the right circumstances, it can be funny, right? That doesn't mean, when I joke about terrible things, I've said this so many times, when I joke about terrible things, that doesn't mean I'm happy they happened, right? That doesn't mean I don't watch footage of the Holocaust and go, ha, classic. Right? I don't do that stuff. It's not joking about bad things isn't the same as being happy those bad things happened, but I will say they do give me a lot of material. The complaint ends by requesting Butterfield apologise and receive unspecified training. The comedian has unequivocally rejected both. Yeah, he should have went up there and told them to stick their training and their apology up their arse. Good. However, he has raised concerns about other comedians and how this system is being abused by those with fragile feelings. What a position our country is in where a comedian can't even tell jokes without being pulled in front of a government body, he says. That's the future, Isaac. That's been their plan all along. That's what they want. They want people to be too scared to tell jokes and to be too afraid to speak the truth. He referenced several situations, including his own, where Australian comedians had been subject to protest because their jokes had caused offence. Butterfield closes out his video by saying that the future of this situation is unknown. He says he did not attend the original conciliation conference because his child was due to be born around that time. Because of this, the complaint now has 28 days to either apply for an extension of this time or make a written request that would put the matter before the Queensland Civil and Administrative Tribunal. If nothing happens, the Queensland Human Rights Commission will close the matter and no further action will be taken. Well, good. Isaac should have literally stood up there, proud and tall, and says, I'm sorry, you are such a snivelling, dwindling, privileged little snot-nosed brat that you were traumatized by a TikTok video of a bearded comedian. I'm sorry you're such a loser. I'm sorry you're so pathetic. I'm sorry that your life is so great that you genuinely thought that that was a problem that should go in front of a Human Rights Commission. Right, the Human Rights Commission, you're acting like he was one of those cheeky boys, in the Balkans during the 90s that pure went, ho, 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 brown child. Oh, I love it when they run. You're acting like it was that Human Rights Commission over a joke. Shove it up your arse. But yeah, I hope, it sounds bad, I hope they go for it. I hope they push it. I hope the person who made the complaint has to then go there and, Isaac should be able to face his accuser, if you ask me. But Isaac's done the right thing by telling them to just roll it in a ball and shove it up their arse. He's done absolutely the correct thing. However, the fact that this is a thing that can happen, you have to go to a Human Rights Commission because you told a joke, it's absolutely terrible, but it is just the way that society's heading.